Hello and welcome to Hey Young Lady, where young women have the platform to create whatever they set their minds to, whether it's furthering their education, opening a business, or creating a television show. Young women are continually breaking through barriers that others have laid for them. We will discuss these topics and more coming up on Hey Young Lady. Treba Mitchell, and I would like to say hello to all the young women of the world today. Young women today are enduring, educated, self-sustaining, and strong-willed. But when it comes to women of color, the media doesn't promote this positive image. According to the National Center for Education, African American women are now the most educated gender and race in 2016. However, negative depictions of black women in media occur twice as likely as any other race. Why? Is the media undercutting our achievements? Are only the women on television depicted as statistics with no education? I'm joined today by an educator of special needs children, Dianna, Herron, and a young writer, Tia Love. Thanks for joining me, ladies.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
All right, ladies, we're all educated women of color. Do you agree with the fact that we're depicted negative stereotypes in the media?
Yes. Very much so, yes.
So Tia, what do you see women of color portrayed as?
Loud, ghetto, ignorant, uneducated, poor, and wrong. I don't see what the reality is, which is, like you said, educated. So yeah.
So is there some truth to these stereotypes?
I mean, there are loud and ghetto people in every race. It's not just a black woman thing. So is there truth to it? Yes, because those types of people do exist. But is that the norm or is that the majority? I have to say no.
Or is it a bad thing to be loud?
I don't think so.
All right, Dianna, what can you see or what do you see us doing as a community to move forward or past these labels?
For me, as an educator, I think it starts with informing people. We have to see it on the TV screen, and oftentimes that's what's leading us. Like she said, I always see a loud woman, and if she's loud, then there's something wrong with her. If she's boisterous, then hey, she's angry, she's upset, she's hostile. So I think if we paint a different picture, if we give a different picture, then we can start to make that change, because it's all happening with, the media, believe it or not.
Did you want to add in on that?
I agree 100% with everything she just said. I think that we would do best to, you don't necessarily have to get rid of the loud image, the loud boisterous image, because there's a time and a place for the loud, angry black woman. Mm-hmm. But you do have to add the other sides. We're not monolithic. All of us aren't loud and angry. There are black women who are quiet and angry, black women who just aren't angry at all. Mm-hmm. And you just have to be willing to show all the different ways that black women show up.
So you guys have we've talked about the loud black woman, we've talked about the angry black woman. Are there any positive stereotypes? What are some other stereotypes?
Positive stereotypes?
Yeah, I haven't really.
I feel like you saying that we as black women are loud. There's a lot of loud black women who are activists and things of that nature. So.
There is, but even that is misconstrued, and people try to paint that in a negative light. Like the women who started the Black Lives Matter movement, for one, they don't get enough credit for creating a movement that really, really caters to making sure that our lives are deemed important and worthy. But even then, when black women take to the streets to protest whatever's going on, it's loud, it's angry, we're being disruptive. Mm-hmm. When other people, we just had a women's march, a few weeks ago. Nobody called that loud and disruptive, and I wonder why,
Touché.
And I just think too, like, as far as, what you were saying about a good stereotype and what she was saying, I mean, as a society, we have to figure out what's good, right? What's a good stereotype? If I'm an activist and I'm a loud activist or I'm a quiet activist, what makes me different? You know, what's the difference? Is it because I'm silent and I'm protesting, or is it because I'm loud and I'm protesting? But whatever that is, we have to figure out what makes that a good stereotype. Is it a good stereotype because, you know, we have women that aren't black that will come out and support us, and it's like, okay, well, oh, they're helping that minority. They're good. They're good activists because they're out there helping this group. So I think we need to make sure that when we have those labels, we're being very specific about what we mean by what's good and what's not good too.
Okay, thank you. So as children, we create these images in our head of who we want to be when we grow up and what we want to do and who we look up to achieve those goals. Does our society have any positive images for our children today?
For little black girls?
Our children in general. If you want to start with the young black girl, go ahead.
I think that we're definitely, because black people and black women specifically are starting to take ownership of how we're portrayed in the media, and we're writing our own stories. We're producing our own music, TV shows. So we see ourselves more, and we see ourselves the way that we see ourselves instead of the way other people think that we are. And so, yeah, I do think that now more than there was before, there's more of an opportunity for a young black girl to look on a TV or open up a book or a newspaper and see a positive reflection of herself.
I agree with what you said, but I'd like to see, I don't know, I don't necessarily want to see Mrs. Huxtable, because that's not a realistic picture of all of us as a whole, as the black community. But I would like to see something more than, okay, well, I admire her because she was able to stake her claim on fame, and now she's this big superstar, and that's who I want to be. I want our kids to want more than just fame and fortune. I want our kids to want to read. You know, T is a writer. I want to see more children that want to become writers, that want to write about things that are important to us. And so I think she could even be a good example of a good role model, you know, a person who is excited about education, excited about learning, but also excited about expressing her opinion, having her own voice, so to speak.
So just based off of what you just said, so aside from Mrs. Huxtable, what are some other, or who are some other, I guess, women portrayals? Who do we have to look up to, or who is television showing as black women? Who are we?
I mean, well, now that we're starting to take ownership of our own image, you see black women in many different, you know, areas. We have black athletes, you know, we got Gabby Douglas and Serena Williams. We have Shonda Rhimes killing the game, Issa Rae. So it's not, we don't have to look as hard as when I was younger, when I was coming up, I didn't see any of that. I had to go to the library to find the things that I wanted to see. But now I can turn on the television and I can see Annalise Keating killing the game as a lawyer. You know, I never wanted to be a lawyer. It was something people always told me I should aspire to based on my personality, but I'm like, you know, I never saw that for myself because I never saw that. I never saw a black woman achieving that, even if it was fictional. And now we have something like that. So I think that what you said definitely makes sense, where we need more than just black superstars.
So I'm going to have to play the devil's advocate here. So although I'm sure that we're around the same age, so I remember growing up, and although it doesn't have to be the Huxtables, they definitely were a different part of society that maybe most people growing up in other neighborhoods or low-income neighborhoods couldn't necessarily relate to. But then we had Family Matters and just Moesha and things like that. And I can remember relating to those characters and inspiring to wanting to be an African-American journalist or things like that because of those characters. Yeah. So I feel like maybe we don't have to search as far, but there's always been some type of positive.
It's been there, just not as heavy. You know, because we did have Moesha and, you know, what was it? the Parkers.
Yeah.
You know, we had our TV shows, but now it's blowing up. You know, Black women are at the forefront of these things, and that's what I needed. You know, I always wanted to be a writer.
So can you tell me what's missing? What is TV lacking, or what would you like to see more of?
I don't watch a lot of TV, so I really can't answer that. I don't. Because it doesn't feed my soul, so I tend to stray away from it. I think that if we could get rid of some of the images that we do have, it would be better. Things like Real Housewives and Bad Girls Club, like as it's salacious. I get it. You know, we all like a good read every now and then, but I think that it really paints a very dark picture.
And I would have to agree.
I agree wholeheartedly. I was going to say that, and I wasn't going to say, well, we need to get rid of, but just adding more of. You mentioned Moesha, you mentioned Family Matters, you mentioned all of these shows that we've had, and I'd like to see more stuff like that where it's you have a child, you have a teenage woman, a teenage boy, and they like each other, they're whatever they're doing, and you have that parent that's like, look, I understand that's how you feel, I was there once, you know, kind of having that parent role there. And I think a lot of the stuff that we see now on TV for the Black family, the Black parent, mother and father, are not in the picture.
Yeah.
And so I would like to see that come back a little bit more. Like she was saying, why is it you looking on Housewives and you see bad girls, they're arguing, they bickering, and they fighting? These are mothers.
Okay. Well, ladies, I'm sorry, we will have to move forward to the next topic, but I do agree with that. So the young ladies of today is still creating new paths and endeavors for future barrier breakers. Color is not a topic that many like to discuss, especially within our own community. The ladies of the television and e-production program bring this dark subject to light as they share their thoughts on colorism.
It's when people discriminate against the color of your skin, like just how dark you are or how light you are.
Colorism, for me, is a learned quality. It truly is not something that you mean to do.
Colorism is discrimination within a specific group, so based on color. So, for example, in the Black community or African American community, light-skinned and dark-skinned people are separated. They're discriminated against. You know, light skins are depicted as smart and beautiful and, you know, just easier on the eyes, I guess. And then dark-skinned people are depicted as dumb and you know, not attractive.
Before this, no, I didn't know what colorism was. I know the definition of it, but I didn't know it was a specific word for it. So no, I didn't know what colorism was.
There are 6 people in my family, so my mom has 3 sisters and 2 brothers, and then there's her. And her family varies from color. Like the oldest is the lightest out of all of them, and the youngest, which is her brother, is like the darkest.
I come from a very mixed family. My mother is African American and my father is Mexican American. My mother was married twice, so she has 9 children, and I'm number 4. I'm the last child of my dad's kids, and my stepfather is Jamaican.
So everybody in my family is not the same skin tone. We have actually it's kind of weird. My mom, on my mom's side, they're more darker skinned. My mom's dark skinned, and her younger sister is dark skinned, but the oldest sister, she's light skinned. And it's weird because it just came out that way. But my dad, he looks almost like Hispanic or something. He doesn't look, you know, he's really light skinned.
We do have a wide spectrum of color in my family. We have dark skin, we have light skin.
My uncle and my auntie both have green eyes, and my mom just has brown eyes. And they have sandy, blondish hair, but they're like lightish, like a little bit lighter than me. And throughout her life, they would just ask her if she was adopted because she didn't have the light eyes, she didn't have the sandy hair. She was just like a plain Black person. I think that was, in her life, kind of hard for her because she did have to go through that, people thinking she was adopted and people thinking she was the ugly one because she didn't have those features that her siblings had.
My youngest sister and I look a lot alike. I don't see a difference other than everyone else pointing out her skin color, and I think subliminally people pressure her to not love herself because she doesn't look like me. I've had the conversation with her before and asked her, do you feel pretty? She's said yes, but I think you guys are beautiful. And I asked her, why doesn't she think she's beautiful? She said, because I don't look like you.
I know that when people look at me, they see that I'm light skinned, and I've had people, like, countless number of people ask me, are you mixed or blah blah blah, and it's like, I think they look at me a certain way, kind of more, they put me on more of a pedestal because of the color of skin, and I don't like that.
In my family, my mother's African American, my father's Mexican American. I was predominantly raised by my mother, who I identify with.
But I do have a cousin who has the light eyes, and his like blue eyes, and everyone just like, I love him. And then I think when I was younger, someone said, why aren't your eyes as pretty as his? And I was like, I don't know. Like I just have brown eyes.
Even in Hispanic culture, if you're not a certain shade or your hair is a little too something, you're not deemed as beautiful as the typical Hispanic, which is lighter skin, long hair, wavy hair, bodied. Beautiful. Just beautiful by nature. Like I get questioned a lot about my ethnicity and why and what I identify myself as. I identify myself as an African American Latina. That's not real to some people.
I'm from Jamaica, and so mostly when you're I was just used to black people, and then that's just the majority of that race in that country. So then when I come to America, it's different because then you see white people, you see other colors, but mostly black people, they tell you, oh, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl.
I haven't really been around my Hispanic family, so I don't really know too much about being Hispanic.
There was a guy that was trying to, talk to me through one of my basketball teammates, and he asked, the way he described me, he asked, who's that mixed girl? Who's that light-skinned girl? And it was kind of like that was a quality of mine that I was light-skinned, but like it's not like, I don't see that as a quality, but in the community, some people do.
A lot of people deemed us as us thinking we were better than them, when in actuality, at one point in time, I hated my color. I hated the fact that I looked like nobody around me. I didn't care to be so fair-skinned.
Then when you hear from black men, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl, you kind of like, you feel sad because you're like, well, why are light-skinned girls prettier than me? Or why are biracial or any other race prettier than me just because the hue of my skin is a little darker than someone else's?
Being a woman of color in a television program, like, I noticed it, but I didn't notice it because I went to like a wide variety high school, Hamilton, where there was a lot of everybody. So I didn't notice it, but I noticed it. Like, it was under there, like under the surface, but it was like,
Being in the TV field, not seeing people that look like me, it doesn't bother me. It's I'm kind of used to it. It's kind of normal to me now, because it kind of happens everywhere I go,
I think it can be unlearned. I don't feel that colorism is a stigma that we have to stick with.
I think colorism sucks. I think all of us are beautiful, dark skin and light skin and everything in between. I think, like, contrary to what the people in our circle think, I think dark skin is so beautiful. Like that chocolate smooth. Oh my gosh. But yeah, we're all beautiful, and I hate colorism, but it's here, and I think we should recognize it and stop it somehow.
I take pride in who I am as a person. I take pride in my color. I take pride in my stature as a woman. I take pride in it. I don't take it for granted at all. I appreciate how I'm made. I appreciate the beauty that is me. And I think a lot of young women should too. Instead of going back and forth and being catty about light skin, dark skin, just be a beautiful woman, be beautiful at heart. That'd be great.
I think that's it.
Okay, sweet.
Great job, ladies. That was a very powerful piece. Thank you for sharing your personal stories and insight on this matter. So, ladies, have colorism ever been a problem for you?
Definitely. Just kind of echoing what they said with you're pretty for a dark-skinned chick. I never thought I was dark-skinned. I still don't. I think that I'm brown, and it wouldn't bother me personally if I were actually darker than I am. But it's a mental thing. You think, and it's messed up because it's not something that you want to think about, but you just forced to think about it because somebody, even if you're not thinking about it, somebody's gonna bring it up to you at some point. It's just like, oh, okay, thanks.
Have you ever experienced with colorism?
I have actually. I had a person, I was having a conversation with someone, and this Caucasian man happened to be hearing the conversation at an education seminar, and he said to me, wow, could you speak any more literate? And I was just like, I could tell that he felt some type of way because I know how to enunciate, or, whatever it may be. You know how you go through that, I guess, where you kind of color code, where you speak the way you need to speak in the situation that you're in. And he didn't like that. I could speak maybe better than he could. So I kind of feel like that's kind of what they're talking about. You see me and you assume because I'm dark, which I'm really not. I mean, me and Tia are almost the same shade. Yeah. But you assume that because I'm semi-dark that it's like, well, you can't speak that well. There's no reason why you should be able to speak that well, and it's a little upsetting. It is.
There are situations where it might not happen directly, but you can kind of, like, one of my best friends, both of my best friends they're like yellow, they're lighter skinned, and so for all out, and you can recognize when a man is really only into light skinned girls because he's nice to everybody, but then he gets to you, and it's like, I know I'm not ugly, so what's your problem, and then you kind of recognize as you watch him interact with other women that it's more so just the colorism thing, and that's kind of disheartening.
So I guess just from what I got from the package, can you guys explain to me or just kind of tell me, it seems like colorism is something that is within your specific race or nationality, or does it come from other races as well?
I've never had it from other races. I only ever have that issue with black men. I don't have that issue with men outside my race.
So we've all probably heard of it or seen it on Facebook, and even the hashtags of, team light skin, team dark skin, or the light skinned eye, which we as black people or African Americans, we joke about. So do you guys, is this ever gonna die? Because I feel like we're the ones that are continuously, we don't take it seriously. We're making jokes about it and turning it into hashtags. So,
I mean, when you get hurt, what tends to happen is you realize that you're going to be the one that's always hurt. So you begin to make jokes about yourself. And so I think that's a defense mechanism for us. But the reality of it is it's only helping the negative cause. Because if we play into it and we say, oh, well, I refuse to let you hurt me, so I'm going to turn it into a joke, that's what it becomes. It becomes this joke, and we'll never be able to eradicate this team dark, team light. It'll never go away because now you've started this joke that is just going to be continuously repeated.
I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere because there are certain privileges attached to the lighter your skin is, the more privilege you have. And as we've witnessed with white privilege, people are not, even when they recognize that they have it, they're not ready to give it up. So I don't think that it's going anywhere. And black people are going to always come in a beautiful rainbow of brown. So,
Yes.
you know.
All right, well, that is all the time that we have for today. I'd like to thank my guests, Dianna and Tia, and the viewers at home. Just remember to stay beautiful at heart, strong in your stature, and wise in the mind. Be sure to join us next time right here on Hey Young Lady.